so.
Hi and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with...
Sean.
Chris.
Lee.
So are we burnt out by F1 this season then? Because we were just talking about that off mic.
I think
Yes.
so.
Yeah, just a little. It's been great that the season finally got underway, but the summer, when the races started in the summer, that novelty of starting in Europe and kind of still being in Europe is worn off a bit now.
I think there was promising signs, weren't there, that there were going to be a few good races. Italy was good, one of the Silverstones, and then it's just got so samey.
Yeah, there's been some good races, but it's been a hard season for everyone, hasn't it?
It's been difficult, and I've just had a message from my mum. Normally, this is the kind of story I share on the Patreon, but I'm just going to drop this one in now.
Right.
It starts with...
Is she stoned?
No,
That's
she's
the
not.
first question.
She's not stoned this week. If you want to know about my mother getting stoned, subscribe to Patreon and listen to last week's show. However, it starts. Your dad has moved from fucking up computers to destroying a €3,500 power wheelchair.
Oh, hell.
Oh.
No, Paul's dad, they don't belong in the swimming pool.
Right.
Oh boy. He tried to improve it, and it ended up with...
What was he trying to do to it? Was he trying like super like turbocharge it or something? What was he?
I don't know. It was trying to improve and it ended up with a blown tyre.
That's fantastic.
Then he tried to take the wheel off, and my mother heard two loud bangs, and the chair had collapsed.
Had he tried to install Windows Angry Birds on it?
We are now not talking, and I wish I drank. I'm sorry when you get a message like that. I know we're talking about being burnt out by F1, but... Oh boy.
Maybe that's what we need to spice F1 up. Improved electric wheelchair race.
Oh, get me dad to manage the pit stops.
Christ.
So where were we before things took a turn
We were
south?
slagging off F1.
Because we had those 3 triple headers, didn't we, in a row? It was like 9 races in 12 weeks or something.
Yeah.
Or 11 weeks. It was insane. It was a lot of races. They're all compacted in. And then I was kind of glad for like a weekend off after that. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be nice. Like a weekend off before a race. But now it's just kind of the excitement of having those 3 triple headers, as exciting as it was, it's long gone now. And with the season just being such a late call and the calendar being all over the place, yes, we've had some great races at some some venues we otherwise wouldn't have been to. But going back to what Lee said just before we start recording, we're going to get to do the same thing again on a calendar we're quite familiar with. And it just feels a little bit like, okay, well, where's winter then?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at next year as well, you're going to have another year of of Mercedes essentially perfecting this car. You know, I don't see, they're so far down the road. I just don't understand how anyone can challenge or even make it a fight.
Short,
Yeah, so like just delaying the rules by a year.
Yeah, short of employing my dad.
Yeah, the only way to make it an interesting season would be if Valtteri Bottas could sort himself out and actually challenge over the course of an entire season, and that's simply not going to happen.
No.
He'll do what he usually does, and he'll win the opening race, and we'll all be like, "Oh yeah, here we go, it's happening." And then about
let's be fair, we won't.
Well,
I think we'll look at it with a cautious eye.
some may be conned into thinking there will be a contest, and then about 3 or 4 races in, we'll be like, "Oh."
Yeah, that's happened. So we'll see him win again in 4 months.
Whenever Russia is, and then not again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a difficult one this year, just from a sort of keeping an energetic point of view about it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know about anybody else. I really enjoyed the weekend off.
I think that's it, hasn't it?
Absolutely, but
It's become something you look forward to, the break.
Yeah. But we
Yeah.
also mustn't forget that we did this podcast for a number of months where, 3 months, nearly 4, where we were just talking about life in general and drips of F1 news that would come through. Thank you, Ferrari, for not rehiring Sebastian Vettel. Otherwise, we'd have had nothing to talk about.
This is very true.
Yeah, I mean, we had 4 months of, Ferrari are really playing hard, and what have we all watched on Netflix?
We had 4 months of group therapy, let's be honest.
And thank you to everyone for sticking through it with us.
I'm sure they were only listening. I was just going to say, I think they were only listening in case one of us went all Lord of the Flies.
But we do actually have news this week. Kinda.
A smattering.
Yeah. This one broke last week, but the Saudi Arabian street race is now going to be a thing. We race as one, unless...
Yeah, it's not gone down well, this, has it?
Yeah, I mean, everyone said this. Everyone said this season's championship would have an asterisk after it, and now I think it needs to go on the end of We Race as One, unless you're Christian, Jewish, a woman, foreign.
Well, no, right. Let's look at this in perspective, because it's not like Formula One doesn't race in places with horrendous human rights records.
This is very true.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is what
it's not new.
This is what everyone said when Azerbaijan came in.
Yeah, they're very sketchy.
But when you've had a whole sport fucking virtue signal for an entire year, telling you how good they are, and how, it was a bad time to make the announcement. Or it's not a bad time to make the announcement. Maybe the nonsense shouldn't have been there in the first place. Maybe sport should be left as sport.
I think that's it, isn't it? If you're gonna,
I disagree. Sorry, go on, Sean.
Yeah, I see where Lee's coming from. That if you are gonna be the poster sport for inclusivity, you then also can't be taking the money of someone who is very much not.
Yeah, you can't do both.
Yeah.
I mean, sport is like is a uniting force, isn't it? It always has been. Fans of football teams, the Olympics always, supposed to inspire a generation of athletes coming through whatever city or country that the Olympics are held in, and it's always a spectacle to see massive sporting events. When you got a global sport like Formula One, and that's quite correct, you can't have this banner of We Race as One with the rainbow signal, we're all in this together. We all race as one, and having the anti-racism message at the beginning of the race, like just before they do the national anthems. You can't play that videotape with all of the drivers saying what they say in a country like Saudi Arabia, where free speech doesn't exist. You can be arrested for, without giving a reason, and detained for as long as possible. Public beheadings are still a thing and are on the rise. There are many, many things that are wrong with Saudi Arabia. And yes, absolutely, Formula One races in countries that have had questionable human rights records in the past. Remember the whole Bahrain debacle? Was that about 2010, 2011 when we went to Bahrain and there were all these protests against the government? Well, at the time...
But they fixed that by having it as a night race so you couldn't see.
Exactly.
Which apparently is what they're going to be doing in Saudi Arabia. I think
it is going to be an evening.
At the time, you kind of... Yeah, but at the time you looked at it and you thought, oh, bloody Bernie and his bloody dodgy friends, and Bernie's running. This is not Bernie Ecclestone's Formula One. This is a Formula One now that when these guys came in to take over, one of the first things they did was removed grid girls because they said it didn't fit in well with the message they were trying to put across with the sport about being equality.
Much to the chagrin of grid girls, I might add.
Yeah, because there were promotional girls who do that kind of thing, for a living. But they made a stand. They took a stand and they made that decision. And you thought, okay, well, actually,
Hang on, Chris, we're losing you. You're breaking up. The Saudis
have got him.
Yeah.
Oh, he has actually disappeared completely.
He's been
beheaded. Well, from my own little point of view, I just think that like the world is so politicized now, and it just every aspect has got something that you're either being told or is you're being educated by, and I feel that sport should be an escape from that, and the way it brings people together is just through competition. You know, the idea of all these people getting onto a track together, getting on and racing each other, that should be the part that gets people together. But I personally, all you need to do is look at the comment sections of any social media post when it comes to this sort of thing on Facebook, and I'm not taking a side either way, because I don't like to demonize either side, regardless of what opinions they've got. All it's done is cause more division. It's not caused unity. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it does just seem to. Hey.
Right.
But no, it does just seem to have
we
resulted.
thought the Saudis had got you.
No, I think it was what Lee was describing earlier as slightly dodgy internet.
But no, it does just seem to have inspired.
I was saying about. Yeah, I was just going to say, I was just saying about the grid girls being gotten rid of, and then, you know, this whole We Racers One. And you can't do that and then do a full heel turn and basically go full Bernie and race in Saudi Arabia. That's not the right thing to do.
They could piss everyone off and bring grid girls back only for Saudi Arabia. And then they're pissing off Saudi Arabia. And by being in Saudi Arabia, they're pissing off all the F1 fans. All bases covered.
Only if it's the Kimoa Saudi Arabian Grand Prix and they're all in swimwear.
In Kimoa, yeah, Kimoan surfwear.
I am Lee Stevens and I approve this message.
I don't know I don't know how I feel about the whole Saudi Arabian Grand Prix thing. I've seen the counter argument is that we want to show how far the country has come in the last however long, but that to me is not the way to do it. You don't do it by taking a global sport to a country that, as I've just said, has still to this day has an abhorrent human rights record.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, if they want to prove that they've really come along and they're progressive, let's get Jamie Chadwick, Tatiana Calderon and Sophia Flörsch doing FP1 and see how many heart attacks that gives them.
There is a Saudi driver called Amna Al-Kabashi who does, I think she does Italian F4 or something of that ilk.
Right,
get her in it.
Get her in as well.
Because it's only in the last couple of years as well that Saudi women have been allowed to drive.
She was the one who, on the day that came in, she did like a demo with, I think it was with Renault, at whatever race it was the weekend that came in.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic. I mean, great that women can drive in Saudi Arabia, but can we also, you know, maybe sort a lot of other things out before?
Yeah, not the only problem they have, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, kind of stop whipping people in public.
And actually taking their heads off.
It depends who they are, really. let's be honest.
Consensual whippings are fine if that's what you're into.
I know at least 8 people
but
I
it's
would
also...
like to see publicly flogged, and 2 people would like to see beheaded.
It's also not a...
Who died to make you,
place...
Steve Bannon?
Listen, I'm just going to say, if someone can miraculously grow hair, I should be able to miraculously cut it off.
Right.
Okay. Anyway.
At least give him the benefit of a rug test first. I mean, we are not a political podcast in the main, no. And it's unfortunate that
you might have just guessed.
It's unfortunate that F1 is kind of dragging us down this road.
Well, I think we've been pretty good.
But it's not a great place for fans to visit either, is it? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, but points get put across, and then we leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes about as much sense as holding the World Cup in Qatar, which doesn't normally do football.
Exactly. Yeah. But do you think it's going to be a well-attended Grand Prix by people outside of Saudi Arabia? Like people, like tourists, because it's not a great place to travel to. A lot of the time, there's advice against traveling to Saudi Arabia unless you absolutely have to.
I mean, we've seen how well attended Bahrain is, and that is slightly more tourist friendly.
So very poorly
expensive, though, isn't it? It's very expensive, though, Bahrain. Isn't it?
But I can't imagine Saudi Arabia being any cheaper or more accessible to the outside world.
Yeah, of course not.
It'll be lots of dignitaries and sponsors, and lots of big flags on seats.
I feel a lot. I don't know if you heard Chris, but we were talking when you popped off. I was saying that I think in my eyes, when it comes to sport, it should be the competition aspect that brings people together rather than
I did
like political statements. And I can't help but feel that lots of what we're seeing now in Formula One will melt away when there's a crowd. Because I genuinely don't think you can do that sort of thing around the world like they go and expect to have a positive response. With different cultures and different people all over the place when there's large crowds.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll carry on with that with their anti-racist message in 2021. I know Mercedes have announced that they're going to continue their black livery for 21. I just think that means
it's a cool livery.
I just think it means that they don't want to paint their car.
But the Formula E team's reverting to silver for the next season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because they did the sextuple header at Berlin in the black car. But then when Formula E gets going again, they're reverting to the standard Mercedes silver arrows colour.
Yeah. Well, eventually Mercedes will as well, or at least I imagine it will creep back in.
I'm just trying to work out what the cat's doing.
I haven't got a clue what the cat's doing. Let him crack on.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a world champion who's an activist against racial inequality, and then they're going to go and race in a country where it's not just racial inequality, but that's very high on the agenda of the people who run the country, apparently.
No, I think we'll put this one down to a bit of a fuck up by F1.
Yeah, not well timed or delivered, I think.
No. You mentioned Kimoa. Alonso's been getting a plaster cast of his head.
Because why wouldn't you?
Apparently he's going to be in Madame Tussauds, or is it?
No, this was at the Bell factory. He's been having a helmet fitting for next year, and apparently he is getting like a custom inside as well as outside. So they've been taking exacting measurements of his face. So that's it. He can't change his beard or anything from now on.
I'd have just took it for granted that all helmets were like custom made.
This is apparently at their specific like research and development centre. So,
oh wow!
I mean, I've never seen them go to the extent of
plaster casting a whole head.
Casting a head, because it's normally they'll take measurements and they'll custom make it to the measurements of somebody, but maybe his schedule is too busy that he can't keep returning for fittings, and he's got other.
I imagine maybe there is a social distancing element to it as well. If you take a plaster cast, you can spend as long as you want measuring this person's head.
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, if you've got them sat in front of you, they're there breathing on you for however long it takes.
And then you have to measure the mask as well, which come next year, that's not going to work. But if they're making a plaster cast, he better not wear a different thickness balaclava.
Yes.
It just seems a very Alonso-y thing to do.
I don't think it's going to be that tight, is it? Yeah, they're sponge interiors, aren't they, on the helmets?
Yeah.
Anybody who's ever worn Sharma have worn a helmet for the stock cars, they're fairly comfortable inside. It's not
squishy.
like you think, this is the wrong shaped helmet for my head. It's not. I don't think they work like that.
You get the general size right, and then the innard kind of molds to you once it's on.
Yeah, because all it is polystyrene and sponge.
Yeah.
I go cycling. I just have the polystyrene. I don't even get the sponge.
No.
Oh dear.
I mean, I suppose there's nothing to stop you wearing a full crash helmet while cycling, but you probably will get some funny looks.
That's why I don't wear a full crash helmet while I'm cycling. It's bad enough that the only helmet that the shop had in my size when I needed a new one was fucking Dayglow green. What else were we going to say? Oh yes, the after the big Haas news, there's been more Haas news, and the main news from Haas is there isn't any news.
No, so we were expecting the big announcement fairly swiftly, and then it hasn't happened, and then Gunther Steiner has been asked about it this week and has said, no, we're not really ready.
Even though it's blatantly obvious that it's...
we know who it's going to be, don't
Yeah.
we? We think we know.
Yeah, it's going to be Schumacher and Marzipan.
Yeah.
Did Williams not go through a phase of this last year with Latifi where officially you have to wait for the end of the F2 season in order for someone to have the super license points?
Yeah, because they don't actually issue the points until the end of the season just in case they get disqualified.
See.
So, yeah, we didn't... it was going to be Latifi, but it wasn't officially Latifi until December. And, of course, Schumacher and Mazepin both currently racing in F2. So we're probably not actually going to get to find out until after Bahrain 2. Because that's the...
harder.
Is Bahrain 2 the circular one?
Yes.
Yes, because they've swapped them round now, because it was Bahrain 2, then Bahrain. Now
Yeah.
it's Bahrain and Bahrain 2.
It's not logical.
Yeah. Bahrain 2, Bahrain 1.
So, yeah, if it's going to be a pair of rookies, which I still think is an absolute massive ball drop for Haas.
When there are so many veterans available.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to have to wait another 4 weeks for it to be official. Also, Grosjean said that the only driver to text him after he announced that he was leaving was George Russell.
Oh, George Russell. Nice one.
Yeah, I mean, Grosjean doesn't come across as the most popular chap on the grid, but that does seem a bit harsh that
He is
no
the
one
head
reached
of
out.
the Grand Prix Drivers Association.
He is their representative,
I mean, Gunter's message was, don't fuck slam the door on your way out.
of course.
Yeah. I mean, Grosjean, for all like the issues he's had in the sport and like the stupid things he's done and silly, like trying to kill Alonso at Spa.
Let it go.
What? Like you nearly let Alonso's head go? No. He does seem like a nice guy. It's, of all the drivers, he seems like maybe the most human of the lot of them.
Yeah, I know what you mean. He's one of those drivers that we kind of like to pick on a little bit because he does tend to find himself at the gravel a bit more often. But he's never nasty about anyone, is he? You never think, bloody Grosjean, what did he say that for? Or, he's never been ill-tempered in a manner that, makes you hate him.
He picks his fights on track, not in the press.
Yeah, he likes to slag the car off a bit, but
Yeah.
aside from that,
Yeah, I mean,
And to be fair, it is a bag of shit.
that's very true.
yeah, I mean, you don't see him going into the paddock afterwards and slagging the walls off.
They just come at him.
And yes, we know it was his engineer that said it. He thought it was Ericsson, not him. But
Yes, it was, but even still.
yeah, the guy that's got all the telemetry in front of him should actually know that a car that's 5 places in front of you can't hit you from the rear. Physics?
Not at Haas.
No, that's true. Or could that be the new catchphrase for Haas? Yeah, Haas automation.
Physics? Question mark.
Yeah.
Physics?
So I think that really is about it for for what news there is. Apart from the F2 and F3 changes for next year, which are still to be ratified by the World Motorsports Council? The World Motorsports Council, even. For anyone that hasn't seen it, F2 and F3 will now not be on at the same race weekends. They'll still both be support races to F1, but F2 is having 8 race weekends a year, and F3 is having 7. So there'll be 8 races next year with only the Porsche Super Cup to keep us company.
Oof.
So please burn that with fire. And the other news for that is that they're both switching to 3 races a weekend, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. They haven't announced the format yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be...
Yeah, I was going to say...
Qualifying race, feature race, sprint race, maybe?
Maybe, yeah. It kind of makes sense. You've then got them on the 3-day weekend, but also keeping costs down because they're not travelling so much.
But then you look at teams like Prema and ART who put teams into both F2 and F3, and all of a sudden their costs have just rocketed because they've now got to do 15 race weekends.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, well, they're kind of doing that many anyway, weren't they? With as it is at the moment.
I think what was it? 12 weekends for F2 and 10 for F3. So it's actually the number of race weekends has gone up. They'll be taking, and I can't imagine them taking less personnel because you'd think that some of the F2 team work on the F3 car as well, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I would have thought
Yeah,
so.
you'd think so.
So I'm not quite sure, but I mean it kind of gives F3 a little bit more prominence because for 7 weeks out of the year that will be the big support series to F1. How well it's going to go down, I don't know. But I mean the other thing is it's good for fans that are attending circuits on Fridays because they're actually going to get to see a race that doesn't involve Porsche Super Cup drivers.
Well, that is always a bonus.
But the other thing is, does that mean that the other 8 F1 weekends from next year are going to be 2-dayers again?
Possibly.
Are we going to get that dropped on us if there's less support series?
Now, we know that this year there were going to be... Was it going to be 2 races that had W Series?
Yeah.
So that might come back around. There could be other things that drop in, potentially.
Yeah, that's true. It's just that F1 are saying, we might look at this the 2-day weekend as a possibility for the future, and then stop talking about it, and all of a sudden it's, well, here's 15 weekends where it's definitely going to be 3 days. Unless, of course, they have Friday for everything that isn't F1, and then just have the F1 running Saturday and Sunday and just knock it out of the 90-minute qualifying.
Yeah.
I'm thinking off the top of my head here.
Yeah, I mean, we're having F3 as well, like trying to sort of, what you're saying then about pushing F3, having it as the main support race for Formula One for almost like half of the support season. That would, it's kind of like
Oh, he's gone again.
Oh.
Lee, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Ah.
So
I'm back again.
It's Chris's turn to have the duff internet tonight.
No, I'm yeah, it's not an unknown thing. It's this bloody upgrade, I tell you.
Long as you're not using the PC that we used to use for the pod recording. That thing still
No, I'm not using that.
That thing still works perfectly when it works.
Yeah,
when
it works.
Yeah, when it's broken, not a hope. But yeah, having F3 as a support series for about half of the support season.
Yeah, it's like it's a bit of a misnomer because you can't move from F3 straight into F1. So you could do really well on F3, win most of the races, and support on a Formula One weekend, and then you still have to move up to Formula 2 anyway, and then you might not do so well in Formula 2, so that feels like a bit of a backward step almost.
Yeah, you get to go to one more Grand Prix weekend.
Yeah, but you feel as though, even though it's a step up, it feels as though it's not a step up because you were supporting F1 races last year anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of a step sideways, really.
Yeah. Whereas it should feel like a step up. When you've got you should have at least a few weekends where it's F3, F2, and F1, just to to really push home that sort of, it is F3 underneath F2.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to work out, did something just go strange with the audio here? I'm just going to mute that just in case, because I was just preparing something for the next bit. I'm saying that's all the news, but of course the main story.
Yes, the other
The
news.
main story, the F1 fragrances.
Just in time for Christmas.
I mean, I've never seen so much utter bollocks in my life, and I have lived through seeing a lot of utter bollocks on the internet. The F1 have actually launched their own range of fragrances, the F1 Engineered Collection,
Christ.
with names such as Precious Metal, Overtake 320, Carbon Rain, and Neum White. It's spelt M-triple-E-U-M, and Turn 1. Which apparently is an essence of F1 with the chords of burning rubber and salty asphalt.
Ugh.
Do you know what? Right, I only just thought about this when you were saying the names. Then it always shows when something's in trouble. Be it like a sport or a brand or something. When they bring something out which is clearly not in line with any of the people that support the sport.
It does make you wonder who is going to buy this shit.
Yeah, it's like Usain Bolt launching his own range of walking frames.
Yeah, the only bottles of this stuff are going to be sold in Monaco. That's the only places someone's going to buy it.
We have gone back to being full Bernie, because that is the kind of people that he wants watching his races. People that will spend 200 quid, 195 quid on a bottle of fragrance, or $10,000 for the metallic coated 3D printed ones.
No thanks.
Yeah,
no, not worth it. Not happening. It's tat, let's be honest, and I shall not be going anywhere near it.
Yeah, I mean the 3D printed carbon fibre covers. It looks like somebody's 3D printer's gone a little bit rogue and forgot to print all the bits of a bottle.
I don't know why. I'm just imagining as well that they all smell a bit like Lynx.
Probably, yeah.
In that case, coming soon. I bless the race down in Africa.
I was just going to say everything smells like
Oh,
Lynx
wow.
Africa. Therefore, every single one of them smells like a 14-year-old boy.
Having not known what a 14-year-old boy smells like since I was a 14-year-old boy, ew! And that's bad memories enough, and that was many years ago that I smelt like that.
Well, let me remind you, you smell like Lynx Africa.
Actually, I didn't when I was 14, because there's an ad campaign on now that they're celebrating 25 years of Lynx Africa, so I was too young for it.
Too young for it?
Yeah, it didn't come out until 1995.
Ah, okay.
According to the ads, I was 25 then. There was no way I was wearing that shit.
Oh.
I think I got bought a bottle as a ironic Secret Santa present at work, and I think it just stayed on my desk for about 18 months. And then we got a 14-year-old work experience kid, and it went missing. Odd that. So we're not partaking of these new Formula One fragrances, and you don't fancy smelling of burning rubber, salty asphalt, an aromatic built round a prismatic champagne accord.
Is asphalt particularly salty?
I've never licked asphalt.
No, I don't know why. It doesn't strike me as the prime note of the asphalt.
Do you know what? The only person who would actually really know that is the Pope.
Possible, yeah.
It gets in the ground all the time.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
F1 have released a fragrance exclusively for the Pope. Should we just preview the Turkish Grand Prix? That's going to be a hell of a lot easier, and it's going to smell better.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so F1's first race in Turkey since... Anybody? Bueller? 2014?
Ooh, was it that late?
2011, I think it
I
is.
would have said 2011.
Bloody hell. Where has the
2011
time
was the last
gone?
one.
That's just...
Yeah, I did a little bit of research before pre-pod, about an hour before we started recording, just to make sure that I had
outrageous.
things. I was wondering when the first one was, and I honestly would have said it would be about like 2007, 2008, 2005. It's actually a bit earlier than I seem to remember it being, which means that an Alonso Schumacher championship battle was happening at the very first ever Turkish Grand Prix before Lewis Hamilton was even in the sport.
Yeah, I mean the podium for that race was Raikkonen won it with Fizzy second and Alonso third.
Wow.
And the 2005 one.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go, Kimi. So Kimi Raikkonen, Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton, Grosjean. Is that it for racing at Istanbul before?
Let's have a look. I'm just looking up the 2011 one.
Would Grosjean have raced there? Because he came in late in 2009, didn't he? And then was dropped.
Good point. Yeah. I think it's like 2012 when he came back or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, he wasn't.
I don't think he'd have done
No,
it.
he wasn't racing then. Yeah, what we got? Vettel.
Vettel, Raikkonen, and Hamilton. Is that it?
It must be, yeah. Unless someone gets COVID and maybe like Hulkenberg comes back in, but even that I think might have been slightly too early for him.
Yeah, Hulkenberg wasn't at that one. Yeah, so it would just be Vettel, Kimi, and Lewis. They are the only three that have raced there before.
Wow. Okay. So a fairly newish circuit for all involved. And they've all won there as well, haven't they? Those three drivers.
Yes.
Yes. Kimi won the first one. Lewis won in 2010. Vettel won in 2011. With the four in between, three of them were won by Massa, and Jensen won in 2009 because it was in the first half of the season.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because of the the turn 8, which they used to take flat out. Now the cars have sped up again since 2011.
Well, it was almost flat, but they think that it's going to be easily flat in these cars. They think it's good. There's been some jokes going around on Twitter. I can't wait to see the because it was like almost flat at the end of quali when the cars were there last time. So what they're saying is first practice, cold tyres, dusty track, eyes closed, one hand. Everybody be going around it flat. Yeah,
I mean, the only problem with it is it's another bloody Tilkedrome.
It is, but I don't remember. I can remember some good races at Turkey. I thought it was an all right circuit back in the day. I don't know if it still is, but I seem to remember it being okay for racing.
Same. I seem to remember Turkey being moderately okay. Couple of overtaking places, not like your sort of identikit Tilkedrome of the sort of the Korea and the India era.
Yeah.
I think back in the day you might have had a couple of more sort of ounces of imagination.
Well, don't forget, he also did the Circuit of the Americas as well.
Yeah.
And there's just as the last sector in Circuit of the Americas starts, that 3-turn sweeping right-hander is a reverse of the Turkish turn 8 sweeping left-hander. He basically stole his own idea and put it in for the Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, I mean, we've said all along that Circuit of the Americas is Tilke's greatest hits. He's just got the one best bit from each of his tracks and actually managed to combine them into something that worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be another Mercedes walkover, unfortunately.
Oh, I think you're probably right. I can't see past Mercedes at all for this. I can't see past Mercedes at all for the rest of the races, in fact.
No, I mean we've already talked about this last week, saying that every track suits them.
We're going to be as well. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, Karen.
I was going to say.
I was just. Go on.
I was going to say we're getting towards the sort of engine penalty part of the season as well, potentially. Whereas we know Mercedes will be fine with that. Even if there is a circuit that ends up being a Red Bull one, they might end up with a penalty pretty soon.
Yeah. I think Lewis will win every race for the rest of the year.
Well, he can win the title this weekend, can't he?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. As long as he doesn't let Bottas outscore him by more than 7 points, I think it is.
So second and fastest lap will take the title, but he's going to want to do it with a win.
Of course, yeah. If he outscores Bottas, it's over. But Hamilton will be champion.
Yeah, I think we can call it. Hamilton will be world champion by the end of the weekend, barring any strange shenanigans. But I can't see it happening. Should we throw some predictions in?
Why not?
We can
Yeah.
do. I just want to point out this was the circuit where Vettel and Webber came together, wasn't it?
Yes, very
When
true.
they were really, really good friends when they came together, and it sort of started souring the relationship between them up until the point where it was multi-21, and then Webber left at the end of that year. So I wonder if maybe some friendly teammates might come together in Turkey, possibly Bottas and Hamilton.
In the same race, did Hamilton and Button not have a little rubbing as well? Not to the extent of the Red Bulls, but just a little tapping.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I think they were wheel banging, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Not to the extent of Canada 2011.
No.
No.
No, not the "What's he doing?" radio message. No, not quite.
Let's have a look. No, that was 2010. 2011 wasn't the one where they collided.
I can't remember which one it was.
2011 Vettel.
I think it was
It's
2010, possibly.
Yeah, 2011 Vettel won. Let's have a look. Yeah, it was. It was 2010, and Mark Webber came away. So he finished third, and I think he retired Vettel.
Yes, because Vettel got out and did the crazy symbol, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The championship at that point, after the race, Hamilton won, Button was second, Webber was third, and Michael Schumacher fourth. And Webber was leading the championship at the end of that race by 5 points from Button. It was 4 points ahead of Hamilton.
Webber nearly won it that year, didn't he? And then came third.
Yeah. Right up until the Korean Grand Prix when he had that accident in the wet. It was Webber's championship to lose, and he did lose it.
And he was never the same afterwards.
No.
Right, predictions. Before we do, I just want to thank Michael McCabe for doing the predictions for us for the last race, which we didn't do a preview podcast for, so we didn't give him a shout out.
Oh, okay. No, but yeah, cheers. Thanks very much.
So thank you, Michael. But we do have a guest predictor for this week, and we're going a little bit old school. It is one of our long-time listeners.
Oh, yes. Who is it?
It is Jonathan Mills,
Jonathan Mills.
who I think was listening to us right from sort of the first year.
That's
he was
dedication.
2015 was the first full season, wasn't it, of podcasting?
Yeah, he is one of the oest of OGs.
One of them, yeah.
Yeah.
We've still got a couple of OGs hanging around, but yeah, Jonathan Mills definitely one of them.
Yeah, definitely. So he is going for a Hamilton win, Bottas second, Verstappen third, almost put Gasly, but I can't realistically see it. Rockstars, Hamilton for winning the title, and whoever makes an overtake around the outside of turn 8. Wankers, the podium for being predictable, and Ferrari, who will manage to mess things up for both cars. Yeah, I can't argue with any of that.
No, hard to argue, isn't it?
Yeah. As always, Dan hasn't told me that he's changing his predictions, so he's going for the same. Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, and who else is going for those three in what order?
It's hard not to, isn't it?
Yes, I will also go for those three in that order.
Lee?
I'll go for those three, but I'll go Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, because I think Bottas will fuck it, because he's going to be... It's even though he knows he's not going to win the world championship, seeing Lewis win the world championship will affect him and allow Verstappen to get ahead.
I'm going to go for those three in the different order as well, but I'm going to go for Bottas win, Hamilton second with fastest lap, so that we get sulky podium. Like confusing sulky podium where Bottas is pissy because he's won and Hamilton's like, wait, second. And then Verstappen third.
I like you thinking on that. I'm going to be contentious. I'm going to go.
Pass.
I'm going to go Verstappen, Hamilton, Bottas. with the fastest lap for Hamilton, because that means that Lewis will be prosting it.
Oh.
Yeah, if he's ahead of Bottas, he won't need the fastest lap, but he'll do it anyway.
But he'll do it. He'll do it anyway, just as the extra fuck you, like the Mercedes driving around in formation after a win at Monza.
Yeah.
So yeah, I reckon. Yeah, I reckon Hamilton is gonna prost it.
I did like. Did you see there was an interview with Lewis where he said he doesn't believe that Valtteri Bottas gets the credit he deserves for the performances he puts in. But reading between the lines, it was basically Hamilton saying, "Yeah, like people don't recognise how good Bottas is because like I'm really fucking good." So to even be close to me.
Even share a garage with me means he must be okay at least. See you, Hamilton.
Followed up by unaccustomed as I am to public speaking. If you want to get your own predictions in, go to threelegsportwheels.com, go to the game section and hit the link for 2020 Prediction League. Give us your top three, pole, fastest lap, number of DNFs, and I think there's still a few that hadn't doubled up, so 4 races left, and it's, I would say, all to play for, but we all know what the top three is going to be. It's just getting the order right and the weekend that you double up when you get the right number of DNFs and pole, basically.
Yeah. It's absolutely not all to play for.
I'm trying to keep interest
Build
going
hype.
right up until the end. You know, it's the hype. Lee, you should know about hype. Public Enemy said, "Don't believe it." Right, shall we shunt it?
Why not?
Yes.
This one was sent in by John
Hang on.
Butcher.
Is that his real name, or did he give you an easy name? I'm just closing. I'm closing Windows down because I've got internet windows open. There we go. Right, we're cool.
Right, we
That's good honesty,
No.
given that we can't see you.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the recording software, so I'm in the clear as well.
I have no devices in my hands.
That's his real name, and his profile picture is a picture of him climbing like climbing an overhang, like rock climbing,
Oh.
and this boy is fucking jacked. So
that's why he's
you
not
ready?
taking the piss out of him. Fire away.
I was born
Yay.
in 1967.
Okay.
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 53.
I
Yeah.
started karting age 12 and into the Asia Pacific karting championship in 1983.
Okay.
Started karting age 12. Little old.
Back in the day, maybe less so.
True.
Yeah. 1983, so it would have
Yeah.
been 16.
Yes.
In 1989, I finished joint runner-up with Michael Schumacher in the German F3 Championship. I would like a guess.
Oh, hell.
Right, okay, so 53. So that puts him a couple of years older than Schumacher, because
Yes.
he's 51. I know he's a year older than me.
Very true.
It's good being...
Ukyo Katayama.
It's good being born in a year with a 0 at the end, because it makes working out who's older or younger than you a lot easier, and by how much. Yeah, that sounds good.
I want to say. Yeah.
Yeah. Goes with
The
the
Asian
Asia.
Pacific thing might not be-
Pacific, yeah.
Yeah. Might not be, but it's worth a shot. It's about the right age, about the right era.
Yeah. Solid shout.
I made my F1 debut in 1994 and had 3 different teammates in my first season.
Now that sounds like a whole.
Not Ukyo Katayama.
That sounds like a whole
Katayama
lot.
was in before that.
That sounds like a whole lot of pay drivering to me.
In 1994, did they say?
Yeah.
Obviously, there was a lot of reshuffling around Imola. What was Roland Ratzenberger's team situation?
David Brabham was his teammate in the Pacific.
It was Simtek. He drove.
Sorry, Simtek. Pacific used to change drivers regularly as well. That's why I was thinking of.
I was thinking now, if it's 94, it's a little bit late for Katayama. I think it might be a little late for Aguri Suzuki, but perhaps Taki Inui?
That could be about the right time.
Number 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bowed out of F1 in 2003 and scored a podium in my penultimate race.
Somebody was there for a bit then.
Yeah. And random podium.
Any particular notable races in 2003 where there were shenanigans?
Not that I recall.
Ooh, Olivier Panis.
He won one, didn't he, though?
Yeah, he won the race,
yeah.
but not in 2003. There wasn't. You haven't done one so far about never winning in F1.
That's
have
true,
you?
actually. Yeah, I've just
No.
heard podium and just assumed that was a noteworthy podium for that reason, but yeah.
Throughout my F1 career, I had 10 teammates.
That's not bad going if he's had 3 in the first year. That's stable.
guess.
Right. Okay. I'm just thinking. Olivier Panis drove for Ligier
Right.
when he started, and in his first season, his teammates would have been Martin Brundle. Katayama took over the seat at one point for a few races. Because they had Mugen Honda engines, so Honda dropped him in, and that's when Martin Brundle started doing his first commentary. And it could well have been somebody else, because Brundle was still doing sports cars occasionally around 94.
You know, when you look back on Formula One, the pay driver situation used to be much, much, much worse, didn't it?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
God, yeah,
Much worse.
yeah.
At least Stroll had the decency to buy a team.
Yeah, I mean, when they were letting drivers like Rossett in for no apparent reason, twice. Yeah, I reckon Olivier
I
Panis,
think that's a solid shout.
because he was around for a while, because he left, then he came back and drove for BAR for a bit.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was BAR before he retired. Although I'm trying to think what the penultimate 2003 would it have been a wet Japan?
Which would mean shenanigans.
Yeah, I'm thinking it might have been a wet Japanese Grand Prix that year. I can't remember 2003 because I get towards the especially during the era when he was wearing the mid-season.
You really don't know how off you sounded then. You just went completely alien.
Were you trying to say you get a bit mixed up?
You sounded like Missy Elliott swearing in a song.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, when Schumacher used to win titles mid-season, there
You'd
was
lose
no
interest,
reason
yeah.
to. Yeah, well, not lose interest as such. Just there was no reason to pay that much attention at the end of the season. So I can't remember. The ends of a lot of those seasons. Yeah, I want to say it's probably a wet Japanese Grand Prix, which might mean shenanigans. So Panis is a pretty good guess.
Are you going to go with Panis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon we'll go with that as a second guess.
Throughout my F1 career, I scored 2 pole positions and had 3 wins.
Okay, so that's 2 more wins than Panis ever got.
Is it Johnny Herbert?
FOTP, Johnny Herbert.
Friend of the podcast.
Now, Johnny Herbert's first season was in Benetton in 94, where he also raced alongside Schumacher, JJ Leto, and...
No.
Oh, no, because he was in Lotus first, wasn't he?
Yeah,
He started-
Herbert was in a Lotus in '92, I think.
Ah. Well, that ruins that idea.
Could be looking at Fizzy or Trulli in that case.
Oh, I don't think either of those are that old.
Trulli might be.
Trulli's about right, Trulli for '94 and then retiring. Oh no, Trulli was around in Caterham, wasn't he? So it's not Jarno Trulli.
Yeah, and did he win as many as 3? Because he's the same age as Sophie Kumpen, isn't he? Because they raced against each other in karting.
Yeah, and it won't be Fisichella because Fisichella was still racing right up until 2009,
Yeah.
2010.
Jarno Trulli really was the Grosjean of his day, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. Didn't really do much but hung around a lot and was not pacey.
was a great number 2 driver.
Yeah, of course. The trolley train was in the 2009 season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so neither of them. I think we've got another couple of at least one more clue before I guess. If
You've
not
got there is no Spaffer, so
no.
he has Spaffer, but it's the 10th clue, which makes it just another clue.
Right.
Two of my F1 teams went bankrupt while I was a driver for them.
Not a good omen then.
Ligier and Prost both went bankrupt when Olivier Panis was driving for them.
No, Ligier didn't go bankrupt. Prost bought them.
Didn't they go bankrupt and Prost bought them, and then Prost went bankrupt as a team, not as himself?
No, I think Prost just bought out Ligier. They didn't actually go bankrupt. But 94, 3 teams. Pacific went under. Simtek packed in at the end of the season, but Pacific didn't even make it to the end. Who the hell was in the Pacific?
Bertrand Gachot, Giovanni Lavaggi, Roberto Moreno.
Again, no podiums between them.
No, Pedro Diniz. He never won 3 races, not in his life.
This is quite funny.
Tech drivers, I do struggle with a little bit because obviously Brabham and Ratzenberger were the only 2 that I can really recall.
Frentzen won more than 3 races, so that rules him out. The age is about right.
Oh no, wait! Frentzen did win about 3 races.
Should we get another clue? I take it.
You got 2 more clues.
Oh, that was number 8, so we're still good.
Yeah, after leaving F1, I competed in DTM for 3 years with very little success.
Frentzen would be right for winning the F3 with Michael Schumacher. Joint winner with Michael Schumacher.
Yeah.
And they also hated each other.
Yeah,
I can't give you 10. I can't give you 10 because it's too much of a giveaway. I might as well tell you who it is than give you that clue.
That's not in the spirit of the game.
Is the clue Michael Schumacher stole my wife?
No, it's not. I'll give you. Hang on. I can make one. I can make one. Where is it gone?
This bodes well.
One of my teammates was Andre De Cesaris.
Andre De Cesaris raced with everyone.
Yeah, that really narrows it down. Throughout the Shunt's career, he had 10 teammates. Andre De Cesaris could say that for every season.
Okay, another one of my teammates was Jarno Trulli.
Frentzen. During one of Trulli's stints at Jordan. Oh, yeah, the 2 teams that went bust. He was driving for Prost and he was driving for Arrows when they went under.
Frentzen drove for Prost?
I can't remember Frentzen driving for Prost either.
After him and Eddie Jordan had a fallout, he swapped seats with Jean Alesi.
Someone had a fallout with Eddie Jordan?
Wasn't that back to Sauber?
No, it was...
I remember Alesi in Jordan.
Yeah, Alesi and Prost had a fallout at the same time that Frentzen and Jordan had a fallout, so they swapped.
I think Alesi was driving a Sauber then. I think Frentzen was in a. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I think Alesi when Alesi did the seat swap, I think Frentzen went back to Sauber because Sauber was his first team in Formula One.
I'm pretty certain it was Prost and Jordan.
Frentzen still fits the bill, though, doesn't it? For the end of the day,
I think he sounds a good shout.
Should we go Frentzen?
Yes.
Can do. I haven't got anyone better.
Are you Heinz Harald Frentzen?
I am Heinz Harald Frentzen.
Knew it. Right, let's.
The 10th clue. The 10th clue was my teammates were. I was teammates with both Damon Hill and Jacques Villeneuve in successive years. In their successive
in their championship
years.
Oh, he did. Yeah, sorry, he did. No, was he Damon Hill's teammate?
No, Villeneuve was.
Villeneuve 96 when Hill won the championship.
No, he's got it. It's
and then Hill was replaced by Frentzen.
Yeah, it's worded here like he was Hill's teammate. That's why I got confused reading it. I'm glad I didn't read you that clue. Anyway.
Right, it was a shenanigan-filled US Grand Prix in 2003 that Frentzen came third.
Okay.
So I've got his career up here. 2001, Jordan up until the British Grand Prix. Then had the fallout with Eddie Jordan and then went to Prost. Then went to Arrows for the following season, up to the German Grand Prix, and then turned up in a Sauber at the US Grand Prix 3 races later. And then drove for Sauber for the following season.
So I did remember him going back to Sauber, but I have no recollection of him driving for Prost. How strange is that?
Yeah, he did 5 races for Prost, and in cricket parlance, never troubled the scorers.
Yeah.
Two retirements, a 9th, a 10th, and a 12th.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that was after he had a fallout with Eddie Jordan, or that's what everyone thought at the time. 8 years later, Jordan revealed that the termination of Frentzen's contract was a move to appease Honda and signed Takuma Sato, even though Alesi replaced him, and then he went to Prost to replace Alesi.
Oh, no idea. Who knows what happened?
F1 politics and Eddie Jordan. Never a good combination. F1 and Eddie Jordan, never a good combination.
Rarely a good combination.
Yeah. I think that is about it for this week, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, there's not a lot to cover with it being a preview show. Obviously, we'll be about on Discord during the race this weekend. Sean, you'll be working, so I'll have to watch the race twice. Please, dear God, let it be a good one. If I've got to sit through it twice on Sunday. If you want to get in touch, and if you want to send in a total shunt, Lee, how do you do that?
You can tweet me a private message on Twitter, or you can send me a private message on Instagram at a total shunt.
And if you want to get hold of the show, we are at 3 Legs 4 Wheels on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And individually on Twitter, we are
at Sean Cowper,
at Flood21,
at Pablo100. And if you're old school and want to send an email, thank you to everyone that sent in the emergency shunts, by the way. You can get hold of us, 3legs4wheels at gmail.com. If you want to hear more bizarre stories about my parents' strange life, you can subscribe to the Patreon podcast as well. $1 a month upwards, or £1 or €1, because it now takes multi-currencies.
It does euro now.
It does euros now as well, and everything. Go to patreon.com/3legs4wheels, and you can sign up there. You get the extra show where we basically talk shit. There was a lack of Britney Spears tonight, though, wasn't there?
Well, there was quite a lot of Britney Spears last week, so you've got to balance these things.
That is true. So it was a Britney heavy show last week, a Britney light show this week. Who knows what the Britney situation will be next week when we do one?
It's difficult to forecast.
That is true. Right, we'll see you next week when we'll be able to talk about the Turkish Grand Prix, especially me, because I might have watched it twice. See you then. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.